Hello, everyone. This is Crypto BitLaw back with another blockchain legal brief, and today we're going to discuss how Louisiana lawmakers proposed a law that would allow state residents and other individuals and businesses to pay state taxes and other state fees in cryptocurrencies and digital assets. But before we dive in, if you enjoy this content, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. We'd really appreciate that. With that said, let's dive right on in and analyze this bill and see what it's all about. Alright, so let's start here. This is the Louisiana State Legislature site, which pretty much houses all of the laws and regulations and proposed laws and bills that were proposed by the Louisiana State Legislature. And here we could see that in this current regular session of the Legislature of 2022, the regular session, there was House Bill 741, which was proposed by Representative Mark Wright, and it came under the Committee on Ways and Means, and we could see, let's actually pull up a copy of this bill, Bill 7. Okay, so here's a copy of the bill, Bill 741, and we can see it's proposed by Representative Wright, and the title is for the Revenue Department. Requires the Department of Revenue to accept virtual currency as a form of payment of taxes, licenses, fees, penalties, and interest due to the state. And as we can see here, it's an act, and it's an act to enact revised statute 47-162.1. relative to the Department of Revenue to provide with respect to the form of payment of certain obligations due to the state, to require the Department of Revenue to accept certain currency for the payment of certain obligations due to the state, to provide for limitations and requirements, to authorize the promulgation of rules, and to provide for an effective date, and to provide for related matters. And here's the copy of the bill as it currently stands. So this hasn't been edited yet or passed through the committee or signed by the governor, voted on by the legislature. It's just a bill that's just kind of sitting out there waiting to be developed and then maybe potentially developed into law. So subsection A states that, or we'll begin it right here, section 1672.1, payment of taxes and other obligations as it pertains to virtual currency. And subsection A states that no later than January 1st, 2024. So they're trying to get this on the books, and it would essentially become effective almost 2 years out, so in 2024. The Secretary of the Department of Revenue shall accept, that means they must accept, if it is provided, virtual currency as a form of payment of all taxes, licenses, fees, penalties, and interest due to the state that have been delegated to the department for collection. For purposes of this section, the term, quote, virtual currency shall have the same meaning as provided in revised statute 6-1382. And so we're going to do a little analysis on that statute to actually parse out what virtual currency means. And then other relevant parts, as we can see here, this is going to relate to our analysis as it comes up. B, subsection B, the Secretary of the Department of Revenue may promulgate rules and regulations in accordance with the Administrative Procedures Act as necessary to implement the provisions of this section, including but not limited to rules regarding exchanging, transferring, and storing of virtual currency. Okay, so that's going to come back up. And then as we can see here further down in the digest, it states that the present law defines, quote, virtual currency as a digital representation of value that is used as a medium of exchange, unit of account, or store of value, and that is not legal tender, which, or whether or not denominated in legal tender. Virtual currency does not include a transaction in which a merchant grants as part of an affinity or rewards program value that cannot be taken from or exchanged with the merchant for legal tender, or a digital representation of value issued by or on behalf of a behalf of a publisher used solely within an online game platform sold by the same publisher or offered on the same game platform. So that's a little kind of ambiguous. Let's actually pull up this law that was referenced a little bit earlier, revised statute 6:1382, and see what it has to say about how virtual currency is defined. Does that mean Bitcoin, Ethereum? What does it mean? All right, so here is the law that was referenced, revised statute 6:1382, and as we can see, the title is definitions, and for the purposes of this chapter, and yada yada yada, Okay, here it is. Virtual currency means a digital representation of value that is used as a medium of exchange, unit account, or store of value that is not legal tender, whether or not denominated in legal tender. Virtual currency shall not include, and then it lists things that virtual currency is not. So, based on this definition, this is pretty broad. This would encompass virtually the entire realm of virtual currencies and digital assets, cryptocurrencies that we know of today. And I believe that the ultimate arbiter of who is going to decide which cryptos are going to be available to accept is going to be, boom, this guy right here, the Secretary of the Department of Revenue, who is granted the power within this bill to promulgate rules and regulations in accordance with the Administrative Procedures Act necessary to implement the provisions of the section of the bill regarding exchanging, transferring, storing digital currency. So it's going to be this guy or girl, the Secretary of the Department of Revenue, who is going to have the ultimate say in which cryptos are capable of being accepted for the payment of taxes and fees, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, Hex, any of them, right? And so that's how it's going to play out. I think that ultimately the Secretary of the Department of Revenue is probably going to limit it to I guess probably the major blue chips, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the other real major ones, maybe some stable coins in there, or they could just kind of go all out and then engage with a third-party payment processor that will accept payment in a variety of different cryptos and then just convert them on the spot to fiat and then maintain an account with the state where they would just have access to the direct fiat instead of actually storing it. But who knows? This bill still has time to develop. It still has edits that could be made and, additions or deletions, so on and so forth. And then, it's still a bill at this point, so it has to go through committee. It has to survive a vote on the floor, and then it has to get signed into law by the governor. Or not signed and then past the expiration date, which it's automatically becomes law through lack of a veto. So I think this is really good. This is really bullish for Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, digital assets in general. I like to see more of this. I know that Louisiana is just one in a handful of states that are currently proposing similar legislation and becoming more and more involved in crypto assets and the digital asset space. So I really like to see this. Good on Louisiana. Keep at it. And so with that said, I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, please hit the like and subscribe button. We'd appreciate that, and thanks again for watching, and we'll see you all in the next video.